don't know if you could hear that, but there's massive rain and thunder and stuff going on outside. So I'm actually taking the day off of work because I just need to get a good focus and work on this today. Man, this is just brutal. So what I'm going to try to do is disassemble certain things, write down what I'm disassembling so I can get back to it and try to put it all back together. I'm going to actually use a little hanger system to help with keeping everything organized, and I think I'm going to actually make this go away and make everything just permanent, because maybe have one disconnect each or something, but I just don't see a purpose of it when I could just put it all together. I have my fuse box. I'm not sure I need that. If I had the space to do everything cleanly and all that, it would be great, but it's just not the case here. So this also brings a point of using something like an infinity box or something like that, but I wouldn't really use as much stuff as it has on there. Maybe I would have for all the doors and windows and stuff like that, and then it would just clean stuff up and have been a few cables running back. I'm not really sure, but it's a pretty expensive system. I think if you were doing like an F9R or a GTM or something like that, it would make more sense because there's more, I'll say, luxuries in the car. But in any case, I'm just procrastinating talking about that. So I'm going to dig back in. I bought some connectors and shrink wrap. I don't feel like these little solder joints are my best friend. There's a lot of times where I feel like the solder's not melting and I'm ruining the cabling around it and this cover. And I actually had one burst before, so I'm now wearing eye protection at all times when I'm doing that stuff, because it wasn't melting, and then all of a sudden, boom. And there's times where you could see it melt and blend into the wire, and there's times where it doesn't, and it might be melted anyways, and it's just sitting there. So it's almost like it doesn't have any flux or something to like grab and go in. So I don't know. I feel good about them, but I don't feel 100% about them. And at this point, everything needs to be 100%. So I think I'm going to do stuff by hand. So the biggest thing I need to do is, I have documentation of where everything's supposed to go, but I don't have the documentation of exactly where it's going. In other words, like if I have something that says this cable needs to go to ground, well, where is it going to ground? Is it going to ground here? Is it going to ground up there? Or, where is that? I don't know. That's not documented. So as I take stuff apart, I'm going to document it and then try to keep it all together and then start soldering stuff together with shrink wrap. That's the idea. So we'll see how that goes. But I think the first thing is I'm going to disassemble, document. Then I'm going to get my trans tunnel in, make sure everything's tight and everything's ready to go here. Then I'm going to get my trans cover in. And then we could actually start getting the cables molded to where it needs to be and all that kind of stuff. And just slowly rebuilding it from there. So I have no idea how long it's going to take. This could be a 2-day operation. This could be a 1-day operation. But we're Well, believe it or not, we've gotten this pretty much down to the center console wiring left on the ground here. And lots of wires going everywhere. You know, it's almost like just starting over. So I'm about 3 hours into this, and I'm still taking stuff apart and documenting as much as I can where stuff goes. And I'm going to try to do it that way instead of reinventing the wheel. So, and there might be some stuff like this that I could kind of cinch into a bundle. And so I'm just trying to streamline as much as I can. But really the number one thing I need to do is clean this up enough to get my tunnel cover in. And once I do that, then I kind of know where I'm at, and I could start cinching stuff up. And when I cinch it up, have that one cable coming out that I know needs to be soldered to something else. So, because there is a lot of individual wires. For instance, here, you know, there's 5 or 6 wires that are just coming out to nowhere. There's all these individual wires coming off the harness, and they come from random places, and that's the problem. It's not like all the wires come out in one spot and you can just solder them together. One's coming out 10 feet down this line, and one's coming down 6 feet down that line, and you just kind of have to put it all together. But we're getting there, and I'm hoping by the end of the day I have a good pace going. I will say that starting this, you know, it's been like, I don't know, a year and a half since I started this, and it was kind of overwhelming again, but I knew, like, thinking about it overnight, that I just needed to do one thing at a time, take one little step forward. And the big step forward here is cutting wires, marking them, and uncluttering them, because they're just all intertwined together. And it's not really how I put it together, but that's kind of how it's ended up. When you try to unravel it, you just don't know the original way it happened, and then it's all a cluster. So that's what we're doing. And I got my little mount in, so that's going to help me at least hold some of the weight of the cables, and then I could strap them up together and do a little better. I mean, basically I'm trying to get everything to come out of the tunnel up here and then kind of coil in this area. And then I got a little bit of space to do my center console, and there might be area for a bundle there too, but I don't know until I get the cover in. So that cover has to go in, and then kind of go from there. So far so good. Slow but steady progress. Well, there's some form of progress here. I had all these tails coming off here that I wasn't using, and so those are all now buttoned up in here, and all that's going to be pushed behind the trans tunnel. So I got everything tightened on here, ready to be covered up, and it's pretty cleaned up and tie strapped and kind of ready to go. I got my different I want to say modalities. My different modalities are, my different systems are separated. And so now I could get the trans tunnel in and then kind of see what's going on with this. But I'm going to maybe mess with this before I get the trans tunnel in, just see what I could tighten up. Long as I have the main connectors where they need to go and all the individual extraneous wires coming off accounted for, then we're good, because then I could solder and get them to where they need to go. How beautiful this will be? Probably not. But I'm doing the best I can. You know, I'm going to try to take like that and try to clean it up and make it all into one thing, but it's difficult. I got charts there, I got charts here, I got charts there, I got charts all over there, I got charts up there. I mean, it's literally just, it's nuts. So, but I'm feeling okay. I'm not intimidated anymore. Like, I just got through the worst of it, actually cutting into the harness and cutting a few tails off. So, all stuff that had to do with drive-by-wire. Since I'm using drive-by-wire, all the other stuff for like regular throttle and drive-by cable or whatever it's called, like, it's gone. So, I'm just gonna keep going. It's what I do. All right, so we got a nice 8-hour day in again. It's coming along, but what's really weird is, you know, I added, this is like a 1/4 inch of insulation, and now my trans tunnel's off an inch from where the holes are supposed to bolt in. How 1/4 inch equals an inch? I have no idea. So I'm going to stop here, and I talked to Greg and he was saying I don't really need this much fat, so I could carve this down to 1/2 inch, and that way I'm not cutting into my foam so much. And then I could also use like the heater, water heater aluminum tape, you know, once that silicone in, aluminum tape to kind of seal it up even some more. So that'd be a good idea. Kind of similar to this aluminum insulation there. So that's kind of where we're stopping. I'm pretty much at the point where I could start actually soldering and wiring everything back up together. The only problem is I really don't want to do that until I know that the trans tunnel is in its spot and I kind of figure out everything. Now, the other thing that we were mentioning is, you know, I have a clearance issue with my shift knob, you know, comes down here and then it's like hitting the wall, like right here. And so right now I have this out a little bit, and it's always been that way. And technically I've never actually driven with this tunnel on. So once you add a 1/2 inch of like carpet and insulation, all that stuff, it's going to be really close to the pedal. So depending on what this looks like, I might like carve a hole out here and just put a little bubble or something, and that way I get more room and this whole thing kind of goes in more. So, you know, Greg was mentioning that too, and I'm like, great, add some more time onto my onto my plate, because it just takes time, and I'm kind of on a deadline, and you know, I have 2 businesses I run and the YouTube channel, and I got all this stuff going on, and I got like weeks to finish all this, and I'm just like, it's just insane. So I'll probably start trimming this thing and see if I can get this to fit, and then trim a little bit of the insulation and see if we can get this thing going. But how, you know, you can see, here's my bolt hole, and here's the hole it's supposed to be in. And when I push this up, my hole is over here and not here. And that's just way off. And there's no cables or anything that I'm running in. There's nothing blocking. And I'm not saying that this thing perfectly matches the firewall, but I had it on a few times before and bolted in and riveted, you know, with Clecos. So I'm a little stunned right now. And that throws off my whole center console. It throws off everything. So, you know, where the holes are cut for the shifter, where the holes cut for my drink. So, yeah, crazy. So we're just going to keep working on it, do some nighttime sessions, and just keep busting it out. Till next time, have a great day.